Chris Tremaine.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise in the adjournment debate happy in the knowledge that David Parker has not issued any invitations to Jerry Brownlee to join him on any camping expeditions through the Southern Alps this holiday period. Look, I don't know this for sure, but perhaps given the public display of affection between the two ministers at the end of the last year, it's still entirely possible. Mr Speaker, can I wish you and Alexandra a Merry Christmas? Can I acknowledge all my parliamentary colleagues and wish them a Merry Christmas, to all the staff throughout Parliament as well, and to all of our staff in the electorate offices around New Zealand who certainly do the hard yards for us all as MPs here. And can I particularly wish my electorate a Merry Christmas? It is a privilege to be their MP. Mr Speaker, it's a tradition to acknowledge the opposition senior whip. The Honourable Darren Hughes has had an outstanding year in more ways than one. While on this side of the House, Tony Ryle takes the cake with his daily shirt and tie ensembles, today being no exception, I'd have to say, Darren does provide balance to Tony with his cream and beige, McAndrews menswear designer suit combinations, city fashions at country prices. This aside, the highlight for me this year was when Darren joined the alpha males, Jerry Brownlee and Maurice Williamson, in his admiration of the beauties from the Miss New Zealand pageant present in the gallery. Parliament's most eligible bachelor wanted to point out that he and Labour joined them in their desire for world peace. I actually thought following that it might have been better that he actually give them his phone number, but never mind, that's all right. Yeah. Parliaments around the world, Mr Speaker, are noted by their quick wits, and this House is no different. I recall this year, while debating the Rugby World Cup Empowering Bill, I thought that reading the broadcast commentary of my father's try in the 1961 game against the French in a howling gale in Wellington would be a great way to finish this speech. At least one Tremaine had talent, Mr Mallard shouted across the floor. Thanks, Trevor, I really appreciate that. Yeah. And giving this out, he has taken a bit this year as well. There was the classic situation when Mr Mallard chose to ask the PM, and I quote, whether the PM stood by his spokesperson Kevin Taylor, calling Mr Hodgson a name that we won't repeat in the House. While I'm sure the PM was tempted in his response, he more diplomatically said, I think Mr Taylor could, in hindsight, have chosen his words more wisely, but I am relieved he did not use his fists, which I have to say is one of the only times that I've seen Mr Mallard actually stunned silent in the House, which I say is a good one, yeah. One can't go past the year without raising a few quotes from one of the House's more prescient and wise members. This side of the House want to acknowledge the Honourable Chris Carter as our opposition politician of the year. He really is, and genuinely is, the gift that just keeps on giving. Chris Carter's comments this year regarding his leader. Look, he's a nice guy, but he just can't win. And I believe that Labour would do better at next year's election under a fresh leader, have been inspiring in our selection of the opposition politician of the year. Ladies and gentlemen of National, please put your hands together for our opposition politician of the year, the gift that keeps on giving, the Honourable Chris Carter. Well done. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Chair. Look, one can't go through the adjournment debate without highlighting the performance of the Parliamentary Sports Trust. A great year on the field with games in Tolaga Bay, Murchison, Petone, the Chatham Islands and Wanganui. Once again, the team did raise tens of thousands of dollars for charities around the country, which was fantastic. A highlight did include John Carter's joke in the Chathams about a pirate who had as Moana gave last night, about a pirate who had his leg and his arm bitten off by a shark. The only problem was that there was an actual guy in the opposition team who played against us who had his arm bitten off by a shark. Yeah, good on you, JC. It was a bit of a classic.
Yeah, well, he was involved upon it.
Yeah. Mr Speaker, it's been a year for the many, not the few, over on this side of the House. Over on this side of the House, we've rolled out policies which have benefited the many. We have our 6 point plan which we've rolled out and continue to implement. You know, I could be here all day acknowledging the ministers who have done amazing jobs, but I did just want to mention one minister who I think's done an outstanding job, and that is Anne Tolley down here. In the face of huge opposition from the teachers' unions, and at times, I'd have to say, quite vindictive personal comments, Mr Mallard, this lady has rolled out national standards. And on Monday morning of this week, my daughter brought home her second national standards report, together with this very clear document. And for the first time in my life, and I'm not a teacher, I truly understood what she should have to achieve or try to achieve at her age. So I just want to say publicly, Minister Tolley, you've done a great job, well done, and it's fantastic to have you a part of this team over here. Mr Speaker, National is not happy where the economy is at right now, and it acknowledges we do have more work to do. However, the release yesterday of the HIFU and the NZIER report puts us in good space. The forecast put us with GDP growth of 2.1% now, rising to 3.5%. They don't like this one. Unemployment falling steadily to 5.1% by 2013. That side of the house, they actually wish it would go up. Accelerating wage growth to around 3% in 2012 and comfortably ahead of inflation. It's excellent. Mr Speaker, I want to finish with Labor, on the other hand, this year are in a terrible space. This was epitomised by Phil Goff's speech at Chapman Trip. Not only did our Politician of the Year, Chris Carter, continue his crusade to undermine Phil Goff, we finished the year really unsure whether the finance spokesman for Labor is David Cunliffe or David Cagle. We also now know that Phil is not particularly confident about his future when he said, "At least I didn't say I would be leader of the next Labor government." And we know that Labor is totally bereft of new ideas. Even their speechwriters had to borrow themes from speeches overseas. What's more, the only idea of any real merit in the speech, that being to clamp down on taxpayers who wrought the system, is one they did a complete flip-flop on within just 3 short days by opposing the extreme, Peter Dunn's SOP designed to specifically do that. Mr Goff was asked what his highlights, and this morning Mr Goff was asked what his highlights were for the year on Pippa Wetzel's show. He answered by saying the soccer and rugby were the highlights. Pippa pressed on. "No, Phil, I meant your political highlights." Oh, says Phil. "Well, that would be Chris Farfoy's maiden speech." Well, without meaning to criticise Chris, whom I am sure you'll all agree did a pretty good maiden speech, but for this to be the highlight of the entire Labor Party year is one that makes one wonder. Anyway, Mr Speaker, on that note, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and to have a happy and safe New Year. Thank you.